Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Monisi and this is Monisi Makes. If you're new here, I love working on used furniture. I found this beautiful antique dresser on Marketplace and I think it's from the early 1900s if I'm not mistaken. If you're an antique expert, please comment down below with some information. When I picked this up, the people who were selling it had a barn full of furniture that they had salvaged from a hoarder's home who had passed away. At first, they asked for $125 for this, but my dad saw another gorgeous dresser that I ended up really loving, and we ended up leaving with two dressers and we paid $200 for both. Some of you really liked the cat footage in my other videos, so here's more footage of our 18-year-old Tigger. He's still going strong. My first step was removing the handles. I really wanted to try saving these because I just thought they looked so beautiful, and as you can see, they were really gross with some built-up dust and mold and grease from hundreds of years of use and just not being taken care of. So I put this in a bowl with some baking soda and white vinegar, and then later on I scrubbed everything with a SOS steel wool pad, and it really came out nice and clean, as you'll see later on. Yep. Now it was time to whip out that Dawn degreaser and go to town on this dresser. This took a long time because of how smelly and greasy the whole thing was. This particular degreaser had a really nice smell, so it got rid of a lot of the musty old smell the dresser had. And this was such a perfect day to work on this dresser because I could leave the drawers out in the sun, and it just also helped getting rid of that smell that it had. I also just want to comment on how beautiful the shape of this dresser is. I love the vintage style so much, and I find it so amazing to take something that someone would consider garbage and turning it into something beautiful that you can use. This has definitely been a huge passion of mine for a while, and it's only grown since looking for furniture for our own home, so I hope that this makes you appreciate this as well. My mom helped me remove the keyholes from the drawers so I could add that to the baking soda and the vinegar bowl and clean that up as well. Next, we laid the dresser down so that I could really get a deep clean in there. To get rid of the smell, I actually used a shellac spray, and I ended up using an entire can of this shellac spray because I think it just really needed it. I cannot even begin to tell you how bad it smelled, honestly. When we first got it, I opened the drawers and I was coughing. It was that bad. So I sprayed as much as I could, and I even ended up painting a lot of the inside of the drawers later on. Here are the results after scrubbing the handles. The actual handles were like a nickel, which I thought was interesting because I thought it was all just going to be the same brass color. The next step was sanding down the drawers, and I will say I did not use Citristrip before sanding it down, and that is something that I regret because I think it took such a long time to sand it down to the actual raw wood, and I should have probably done that, but I wanted to see the difference between just doing it with a sander and no stripper, and I definitely learned my lesson. This was when I started sanding the top part of the dresser, and then towards the end I just went with Citristrip, and I'm so glad I did. And after it dried, I ended up using mini wax oil stain in a rustic beige color. This was my first time using an oil-based wood stain. I was going for a lighter stain and I ended up really disliking the color it turned out. I'm actually not a fan of the orangey wood color, and I didn't like it at all. So I think that the top two drawers are a different kind of wood compared to the bottom two drawers, so it did seem a little off in the end. I used a dark walnut stain over the stain that I had before, and I didn't like the way it turned out either, so I tried something else. This is the Van Dyke brown glaze that Dixie Belle has. I went over the wood stain with the glaze, and to be honest, this was me just trying something different to see what it would look like and if it would work, and I really loved the way this turned out. I think I did 2 to 3 coats on each of the drawers, and it turned out so beautiful. I decided to go with a beautiful light pink paint for the parts of the dresser I wanted to paint. I apologize if that hurts your feelings that I'm painting over an antique piece, but I purchased it and I can do what I want with it. If this hurts your eyes, you can look away. This was my first time trying Dixie Belle's Silk All-in-One Mineral Paint. This paint actually has the primer and the top coat in the paint, so you don't have to put a top coat after the paint dries, and 2 coats is usually perfect for any project. This color is called Conch, and I thought it was such a beautiful light pink, almost mauve color, and I thought it was very feminine and beautiful, and it also captures the vintage vibe that I wanted to go for. I decided to go over the handles with some antique gold rub and buff to make it pop and give it a nice clean look, because it was looking dingy even after a deep clean. After the top of the dresser was dry from the stripping, I sanded it down, and make sure when you sand you use a coarse sandpaper, then you move to a 220 grit to smooth everything out before you stain or do anything to the wood. I was very unsure of what I wanted to do to this surface because I didn't know if I wanted a stain, so I actually went with my gut and I used the Van Dyke brown glaze right off the bat on the Behr wood. This was very brave of me because I had no idea how it was going to turn out. I think I did 2 to 3 coats of the glaze and it was beautiful. Such a beautiful brown, and it went so well with the pink that I had picked out. And I did use some of the glaze on the pink to kind of make it an aged look. Then I used water-based polyurethane on the wood, and it's in the satin finish because I don't really like when wood is super shiny. I ended up painting some of the drawers as well to just give it a nice clean look. Here is a reminder of what the dresser looked like when I brought it home. This is the new and improved dresser. I am so pleased with how it turned out. One of the wheels fell off and the leg did break as I was moving it for some of these clips, but I was able to fix the broken leg, and I will eventually just remove all the wheels and put padding at the bottoms of all of the feet, so I'm fine with that. This piece will be going in our new home whenever we can move in, and I'm not sure where I'm putting it, so I guess you guys will have to find out once we actually move in. Don't look too closely because it's not perfect, but you live and you learn, and I did learn a few things from this project for my next project, and that's how life goes. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, comment down below, let me know what you thought of the end result, and I hope to see you next time.